There you go. I'll have my coffee and then we go. Okay. Diva, chip shop Diva, Diva. Do that again. Start again.
Show today talking about Chip Shop Diva, which is a fantastic creator name, I have to say. And you've obviously been you're a talent manager. You've been managing her for a while now, haven't you?
About a year, actually. Yeah. About a year since we sort of discovered her. Yeah.
I say, so talk about that. You manage a number of different talent. I'd love to know how you go about spotting talent. And then we can talk a little bit specifically about her. But how do you find these people that have got great stories?
It's really difficult. There are millions of creators now. I think there's a stat that says there are over 1 million people with over 1 million followers in the world. So everyone thinks they're a creator, but actually to be managed and to have a career in this space is not just about having followers or being on TikTok or Instagram. You've got to be somebody who can commercialize your following and commercialize the interest that they have in you. Somebody like Chip Shop Diva is a fascinating sort of different case study because a lot of people go into social media wanting to be an influencer or wanting to be a creator. I prefer the word creator. I don't use influencer anymore at all as a word, but they go in with that objective of building a following, that they're going to make lots of money, that brands are going to work with them. Chip Shop Diva, and her real name's Destiny Harold, is a different case in point. She was working in a chip shop in Bewdley up in the Midlands. And it's called Merchant's Chip Shop. And they had been merrily creating content for their store, getting, an average of between 30 and 1,000 views maybe per video. And then they had an idea of maybe involving the staff in some user-generated content. So they asked Destiny if she'd like to be in the videos. And she started serving people chips and just having a chat and was just herself. Next thing you know, hundreds of millions of views later for Merchant's Chip Shop and for Destiny. And, she became a household name with articles written in the major newspapers about her, appearing on podcasts and YouTube shows. Joe Baggs interviewed her, getting taken to the Capital Jingle Bell Ball as a VIP. So the world just changed for her. But sort of going back to your question about, how do you spot talent? I mean, this was a really interesting one. We got recommended to her by somebody who'd worked with us who knew that she was blowing up and that she needed a manager. And so somebody said, look, you should have a chat, give her some advice. So we really came at it from that point of view and then realized that we were on something a little bit special. Yeah, I think when I'm looking for talent, I'm looking for a combination of, because I come from a brand background, I guess, that, Gordon, I was a brand marketeer at PepsiCo with Walker's Crisps and Coca-Cola for many years. So I look at the talent as a brand. What's their point of difference? What do they stand for? I think if you stand for something, it's a lot easier to commercialize that. There are a lot of influencers who don't necessarily stand for anything. They sort of call themselves lifestyle influencers, and that's fine. But I think if you've got a passion, a point of difference, some sort of interesting skill or hobby or something that you're known for, then it means your followers can identify with you, but it means brands can also work with you. So
Absolutely.
I think that brand bit's important, and then the ability to commercialize that. So I look for, will brands want to pay this creator to make content? If they don't, you could be an amazing creator like Gordon. You could be on, TikTok with 1 million followers. But if brands don't want to pay you, then your only source of commercial income is going to be from views generated off TikTok, which isn't that much.
Yeah. And that's, of course, where you come in as a talent. You're able to see the potential and look at finding other brand audience, because all brand wants is a relative audience, whether it be about expanding their brand or obviously creating conversion. So just going back to Chip Shop Diva, what did you, because obviously she's now been able to create a career out of this, not just, she's still obviously working in the chip shop.
Yeah, she does work in the chip shop, and I think that's really important that she is there from an authenticity point of view, that it's not just a scam or, so she is there creating content in the chip shop. But, as a result of working with her over the last year, she's now worked with what I'd call, a who's who of the biggest brands in the world, from Rimmel to Burger King to Adidas, End Clothing, Heinz, God, there's loads off the top of my head. Nationwide Bank just did something with their student accounts. Pukka Pies, literally Dacia cars to launch an electric car. I mean, and there's probably another 10 or so I could reel off, but that's changed her life. But for us now, it's about, how do we manage her career? We don't want her to be a sort of chip shop wonder that disappears, but what can we do with her to build a legacy for her and a career for her into other areas as she builds her own social media. And that's something I've done. I think I've managed Rob Mayhew, sort of in brackets Adlan's favorite creator. He calls himself. I've managed Rob for 3 years, and since he really started on this journey, and I've really worked with him to develop a career for him. And he started doing funny videos about office life, and now 3 years later, he's hosting Amazon award shows or the Effies and creating YouTube series and looking at writing a book and lots of different parts to his career, which come from the fact that Rob has very cleverly defined who he is, even down to the signature jumpers that he wears. And I think you remember I picked up an award for him at an awards thing a year ago when he couldn't attend. So he forced me to wear his red and white jumper to go and pick up the award on his behalf.
I love that. And of course, brand is all about being memorable, isn't it? It's about, not being all things to all people, but, focusing on a niche and really leveraging storytelling at its best. And I think the people that you've already identified have got that to a T. And it's for talent manager experts like yourself to really pick out those magical ingredients and realize this is great for these types of brands. And I'm guessing with the people that you're talking to, they just want to love what they're doing. And sometimes they can be overwhelmed when they get lots of stuff coming into their inboxes and not know how to necessarily manage all of that. And you guys and your team can take a lot of that hassle away, because I'm guessing not all the ones that you get reaching out to you necessarily want to work with. It can be quite overwhelming, I guess, at times.
Yeah, and I guess when we sign talent as well, we take a bit of a punt, right? I mean, who could have predicted the success that Rob Mayhew had 3 years ago when he was looking for an agent? And I had to take a punt. It was a calculated punt, and I saw the talent in him. And I think that's what's really interesting about talent management more generally, and not just in the creator space. So I think I've come from having worked with celebrity talent for many years, both at EMI Music, and where I was senior vice president there, working with all the music acts, to then CAA on the agent side. And I've done brand deals for everyone from One Direction to Ariana Grande and everyone in between. So that celebrity experience is interesting in terms of when I was around talent managers. I didn't manage the celebrity talent, but I was commercializing the brand deals. But I saw talent managers signing talent. And, we worked on the X Factor and Britain's Got Talent. All the talent that came from there, we became the live agents for. And it was fascinating to see the difference between somebody spotting a talent that could be a great talent for the future. And I use those key principles today, looking for something different. There are certain people who walk in a room and you just know they've got it. And I know that sounds ridiculous in this age of data and AI, but still, when you look at shows like the X Factor, Simon Cowell put together a bunch of 5 guys who were all pretty average in their auditions, but when he put them together, they became the biggest band in the world. And then I worked with Rylan Clark for many years off the back of X Factor, and he was a laughing stock as a singer on that show. But we knew, I knew working from Rylan from the first moment I met him, what a great TV presenter that guy would become, and he has. And I even saw rumors in the press this week that he may be up for the Strictly job. I mean, what an amazing journey for a guy that was laughed at for his ponytail and singing to now one of Britain's best TV presenters potentially. So that ability to spot talent, there are some ingredients, but ultimately I think as a talent agent, you have to, and any of the good talent agents that I know from years, like Jonathan Shallett and people like that, Into Talent, or Alex Segal, they're great talent agents. They'll tell you, you have to believe in the talent. So you have to look for those ingredients, and that alone might not mean they're successful. But if you believe you can take them on a journey with you, I think then, skill, raw materials and talent and hard work, plus then somebody behind you to make you better. And it's teamwork, ultimately, at the end of the day.
And I totally agree with you. But I also guess that you are seeing the whole bit of that talent, aren't you? You're seeing them at their most frail, their most, because even if they are a great celebrity online, they're still going to have bad days. They're still going to have moments of as I said to somebody the other day, you can have thousands of likes and comments saying that you're wonderful. All of a sudden somebody says something that's a bit unpleasant, and we're razor focused on that single comment.
Yeah,
But
well,
so I
it
guess
does cause.
you've got to chaperone them a bit, haven't you?
Yeah, I was going to say, and also, it's a challenge for brands as well. So brands, and having come from that world of FMCG that I did, very structured. I always use the example that cans of Coke and packets of crisps don't talk back to you. They don't have emotional days. They don't have relationship breakups. They don't have headaches. We're dealing with people, and people are, for the most part, predictable, but then they have moments of unpredictability, and brands often struggle with that. That you're not dealing with a product, you're dealing with a human being who might have got out of bed that morning, broken up with their partner, and then they've got to come and do a piece of content for you. So managing the person is a really important part of that. It's not just chaperoning, and also being in the place where you can be the sort of the not the middleman, but the person that can calm both situations. Get the best for the brand and get the best for the talent, and you've got to be able to speak both languages. I sort of feel that actually sometimes talent management is like being an interpreter. So you have to understand the needs of a talent, and you also have to understand the needs of the brands and what they want and their deadlines and the pressures they're under. I had a situation not that long ago with a brand that wanted a talent to do something, and they took too long, and they said, well, we need to do it in 2 days time. And I was like, well, sorry, the talent's actually gone on holiday now. Like, well, what do you mean they've gone on holiday? I said, well, they decided to book a flight to go on holiday. That's a human thing. They're not going to wait around for you to decide whether you want to do the campaign. So managing those like huge parts of the job, it is very unpredictable, but it's what I think makes it really exciting as well.
Absolutely. Great. Love that. Thank you so much for sort of sharing your thoughts and wisdom. Just to finish, I'd like to I'd like to get your thoughts on a couple of trends that you think are going to change, or if we were sitting here in a year's time, what we're going to see more of, or what we're going to see that's different in the sector that we're in.
So obviously, I'm going to call out AI straight away. Who knows what? But I think AI is going to change the industry in a lot of ways for the good, and maybe not so good. But I think for the good, the processes it can change to help streamline the way we work with brands and with talent, I think would be great. I think AI influencers is an interesting development. Who knows? I think there'll be a role for AI influencers in, let's say, service sectors, customer service, things like that. But ultimately, as genuine creators, I still struggle with the idea that people will want to buy from a fake person or be recommended, but because it's all about authenticity and you want to follow people you believe in. And if that's a fake person, I'm not going to prejudge it. Who knows, right? We might find in 5 years' time that we're all following fake people on a new platform that doesn't exist today. So I think AI is an interesting one. I think the rise of the business creator has been fascinating. I got into that very early with Rob Mayhew. I've signed lots of new business creators. Alicia Tells, I think you met the other day at an event we were at, who was
Fantastic.
speaking at Creator Fest with me. She's next LinkedIn sort of executive who's now gone the other side to try and help people understand how to work on LinkedIn. I think business creators, as B2B tries to become more human, need to adopt the same strategies that consumer brands have been in terms of talking to people. And I think B2B marketing has been very lackluster in the past. So suddenly they're embracing the idea of working with creators. So we're seeing this big growth in business creators. And I guess I've created a little niche within our business of about 6 or 7 business creators, which has been really good. And I think probably the last trend would be, I think there's been a backlash slightly against the traditional influencer. I think people are fed up seeing an influencer showing their best life in Ibiza or Dubai and look at my lovely home and all the stuff that I think is cliched influencer sort of content. And I think there's this sense of authentic creators and authentic content is definitely coming back. And we see that with, the number of brands that want to work with Chip Shop Diva, because she's authentic and she's a girl next door working a chip shop, and she connects at an emotional level with millions of consumers because of that. So I think that little backlash, and then I've seen on the other side, the opposite backlash is, I guess, celebrities coming back a bit. So celebrity went through a real downturn in terms of when brands could just get a creator to do the content and get more reach, potentially, then why not spend less money and use creators? But I think brands are now coming back to the idea of using celebrities because they have the reach, and celebrities have embraced social media in a different way, and they have that immediate impact because they're known. But I think, you know, there's a whole new generation of consumers, younger consumers, who probably will never watch TV ever, apart from one show like Love Island. So their ability to connect through creators on TikTok is going to be something we're going to see coming forward, and they will become the new celebrities. I think there's probably a phrase we should coin, you know, celebfluencer, which is a hybrid celebrity influencer. And we're seeing a lot of those coming in to the market now that transition either from influencers into celebrities or sort of semi-celebrities who've really embraced the influencer model as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Raf. That has been brilliant.
Great. Thank you. It's been really good talking to you.